The galactic wildcard. In the seedy underbelly of the sprawling space station Nexus, a group of misfits gathered around a battered table, nursing exotic drinks and trading tall tales. They called themselves the Zephyrs, a ragtag band of humans who'd thumbed their noses at the stuffy Galactic Council and struck out on their own, seeking fortune and adventure among the stars. Jace, the de facto leader, slammed down his empty glass. "All right, you scoundrels, listen up. Got a hot tip on a big score." The others leaned in, eyes gleaming with anticipation. Amara, the quick-fingered mechanic, quirked an eyebrow. "I'm listening. A Zolnian frigate is docking here in 3 cycles. Rumor has it they're carrying some kind of fancy new quantum computing gizmo. Worth a king's ransom to the right buyer." Gears started turning in their heads. Rock, a burly expert, cracked his knuckles. "I don't know, Jace. Tangling with the Zalnians, that's a whole nother level of risk. You know how touchy those grey bastards can be." Jace leaned back, a devil-may-care grin playing across his face. "Danger is what we live for, Rock, old buddy. Where's the fun in playing it safe?" A chorus of "damn straight," and "now you're talking," erupted from the Zephyrs. Jace had that effect on people. His bravado was infectious. Just then, a hush fell over the bar. A pair of imposing Zalnians, flanked by council enforcers, swept through the doors like they owned the place. Which in a sense they did. The Zalnians wielded great influence over the council. The lead Zalnian scanned the room suspiciously, his beetle-black eyes finally coming to rest on the Zephyrs. Jace met his gaze defiantly, raising his glass in a mock toast. The Zalnian sneered, turning away dismissively as he barked orders to the enforcers. As the tension slowly dissipated, Jace leaned in conspiratorially. "Change of plans, crew. We're not just going to steal that quantum gizmo, we're going to steal the whole damn frigate. That'll teach those arrogant Zolnian bastards not to underestimate humanity." Stunned silence gave way to roars of approval and anticipation. The Zephyrs were in all the way. They knew it was audacious bordering on insane, but if anyone could pull it off, it was them. As the crew fell into hurried planning, none of them noticed a lithe figure slipping out the back of the bar. The hooded form melted into the shadows of the alley, activating a wrist communicator. "Shadow to base. There's been an interesting development. Recommend we accelerate Project Umbra. The Zephyrs may prove useful if properly channeled. Proceeding to Phase 2. The plan was in motion. The pieces were on the board, and the Zephyrs, in their reckless bid for glory, were about to set in motion events that would shake the very foundations of the galactic order. The game was afoot. The quantum quandary. The heist was going smoothly, too smoothly. Jace and his crew had infiltrated the Zolnian frigate with surprising ease, slipping past security systems and guard posts like wraiths. They made their way to the cargo hold, where their prize awaited, the quantum computing device, a sleek black obelisk thrumming with an eerie inner light. Amara let out a low whistle as she laid eyes on it. "That's got to be worth a fortune. We could live like kings with that haul." Jace nodded, but a niggling doubt gnawed at him. This was all too easy. Where were the guards? The alarms? Well, what have we here? A voice like silk and venom drifted from the shadows. The Zephyrs whirled, weapons drawn, as a figure emerged. A Zalnian, but unlike any they'd seen before. He was clad in form-fitting black armor, his face hidden behind an obsidian mask. "I must congratulate you on making it this far, but I'm afraid your little smash-and-grab ends here." His voice was mocking, confident. Jace stepped forward, his blaster leveled at the stranger's heart. "Who the hell are you?" A low chuckle. "You may call me Umbra, and that device you're so eager to steal, it's far more than a mere computational device. It's the key to a power beyond your wildest imaginings." The Zephyrs exchanged uneasy glances. Rock growled, "I don't like this, Jace. I say we grab the tech and get the hell out of here." But Jace hesitated, curiosity warring with caution. What kind of power? Umbra spread his hands. The power to reshape reality itself, to bend time and space to your will, to create or destroy on a whim. Amara's eyes widened. That's impossible, isn't it? Oh, I assure you, it's quite possible. But such power comes with a price and consequences. Umbra's masks seemed to stare into their very souls. Jace's mind raced. If what Umbra said was true, this changed everything. This wasn't just about money anymore. This was about the fate of the galaxy itself. He made a decision. All right, Umbra, you've got our attention. What's your game? A hint of a smile in that silken voice. A game, yes. That's exactly what this is. A grand competition with the quantum device as the prize. I invite you, and all the factions of this galaxy, to participate. A series of challenges, tests of wit, skill, and courage. The winner gains the power of the device, but only if they prove worthy. Rock snorted derisively. And if we refuse? Then I take the device now, and none shall have it. The choice is yours. Umbra's tone brooked no argument. Jace looked to his crew, seeing the determination in their eyes. This was bigger than them now. This was their chance to make a difference, to shape the future. He turned back to Umbra, a grin spreading across his face. We're in. Let the games begin. And with those words, the die was cast. The Zephyrs, once mere thieves and rogues, now found themselves at the center of a galactic contest, with the ultimate prize at stake. They would need all their wits, all their courage, to emerge victorious. But then that's what made it fun. The quantum quandary had begun, and the Zephyrs were ready to play. The Zephyr stratagem. News of the quantum device and Umbra's challenge spread like wildfire across the galaxy. Within cycles, representatives from every major faction had converged on Nexus Station, eager to stake their claim. The Galactic Council, the Zalnians, the Akiri Collective, the Terran Federation, all sent their champions, each determined to secure the device for their own ends. Jace and the Zephyrs found themselves at the center of a maelstrom of intrigue and ambition. They were the wild cards, the unpredictable element in a game of galactic proportions, and they relished the role. As the factions bickered and postured, Jace called his crew together. All right, listen up. We need a plan. We can't outgun these bastards, but we can outsmart them. Amara nodded, her mind racing. What if we played them against each other? Made them think we're allied with one faction, then another? Keep them guessing, off balance. Rook grinned. I like it. Sow a little chaos. Let them fight it out, then swoop in and claim the prize while they're busy tearing each other apart. Jace clapped him on the shoulder. That's the spirit. We'll need to be clever, cunning. Make deals, break them, always stay one step ahead. And so the Zephyr stratagem was born. They started small, planting rumors, staging public disagreements. The Terrans thought the Zephyrs were in league with the Akiri. The Akiri were convinced they were Council spies. Suspicion and mistrust spread like a virus. Amidst the growing chaos, Umbra announced the first challenge, a race through the Miasma Nebula, a treacherous region of space known for its mind-bending anomalies and hidden dangers. Each faction could enter one ship, and the first to reach the checkpoint at the heart of the nebula would win a crucial advantage in the next phase of the game. As the factions prepared their ships, Jace saw an opportunity. He struck a deal with the Zalnians, offering to sabotage the Terran vessel in exchange for a cut of the prize. But it was a ruse. In reality, the Zephyrs had secretly retrofitted their own ship, the Spectre, with Terran tech, making it appear to be the Terran entry. The race began, and the ships plunged into the swirling madness of the miasma. Strange visions assailed the crews, and spatial anomalies threatened to tear the ships apart. But the Zephyrs, with their unique blend of human ingenuity and adaptability, managed to navigate the chaos. In the end, it came down to the Spectre and the Zalnian ship, neck and neck as they approached the checkpoint. The Zalnians, confident of their sabotage, were stunned when the Terran ship suddenly surged ahead, crossing the finish line in a burst of triumph. As the truth was revealed, the other factions were in an uproar. The Zarnians cried foul, the Terrans demanded answers, and the Council tried desperately to maintain order. In the midst of the confusion, no one noticed the hooded figure slipping away, a slight smile playing across their shadowed face. Jace and his crew celebrated their victory, but they knew it was only the beginning. They had proven themselves, shown that they were a force to be reckoned with, but the challenges would only get harder from here. The game was afoot and the stakes were rising. The Zephyr stratagem had paid off, but they would need all their wits and cunning to stay ahead in this deadly dance. The fate of the galaxy hung in the balance. The Gauntlet of Wits. In the aftermath of the Miasma Nebula race, the factions were in disarray. Trust was a scarce commodity, and alliances were fraying at the edges. The Zephyrs, with their audacious victory, had painted a target on their backs. Everyone wanted a piece of them now. Umbra wasted no time in announcing the next challenge. The Gauntlet of Wits, a series of intellectual and strategic trials designed to test the mettle of each faction's brightest minds. It would be a battle of riddles, of chess-like maneuvers, of daring gambits and calculated risks. As the factions chose their representatives, an unlikely alliance began to form. Zara, a brilliant Terran strategist, approached Jace with a proposition. "Look, I know we got off on the wrong foot with that whole sabotage misunderstanding, but we're both in this to win, right? Why not pool our resources?" Jace eyed her warily. "And what exactly are you proposing?" Zara leaned in. "An alliance. Your crew's cunning, my strategic know-how. Together, we could run circles around the rest of these fools." Jace considered for a moment. It was a risk, trusting a Terran, but something in Zara's eyes told him she was sincere. And if they were going to have a shot at winning this thing... "All right, Zara, you've got a deal. Let's show these bastards what humans are made of." As the gauntlet began, it quickly became clear that Zara and the Zephyrs were a force to be reckoned with. Together, they blazed through the riddles, outmaneuvered their opponents in the strategic simulations, and pulled off daring plays that left the other factions reeling. But success breeds envy, and their alliance did not go unnoticed. The Akhiri, in particular, took umbrage at this upstart human collaboration. In a shadowy corner of Nexus Station, a meeting took place. "This cannot be allowed to continue," hissed Selok, the Akhiri spymaster. "The humans grow too bold. They must be put in their place." His operative, a lithe figure cloaked in mottled grey, nodded. "What would you have me do?" Selok's eyes glittered coldly. "Sabotage their efforts. Sow discord among their ranks. Break their alliance, by any means necessary." As the challenges wore on, strange things started happening. Equipment malfunctioned at critical moments. False information found its way into their strategizing sessions. Tempers frayed, and trust began to erode. Jace and Zara found themselves at odds, arguing over strategy, questioning each other's motives. The cracks in their alliance widened, threatening to shatter under the strain. It all came to a head in the final challenge, a live-fire wargame, with each faction commanding a squadron of simulated ships. As the battle raged, Jace suddenly realized their command network had been compromised. The Akhiri were listening in, anticipating their every move. In that moment, he realized the truth. The sabotage, the discord, it had all been engineered, and he knew what he had to do. "Zara, do you trust me?" She met his gaze, confusion and suspicion warring in her eyes. But something passed between them in that moment, an understanding born of their shared struggles. "Yes." Jace grinned. "Then follow my lead. We're going to do something crazy." In a daring maneuver, Jace deliberately fed false information over the compromised network, luring the Akhiri into a trap. At the same time, he and Zara led a daring flanking assault, catching their opponents completely off guard. It was a risky gambit, but it paid off. The Akhiri were routed, their ships scattering in disarray. The Zephyrs and their Terran allies stood victorious. As the dust settled, Jace and Zara stood side by side, a new respect forged between them. They had passed through the crucible of the gauntlet and emerged stronger for it. But even as they celebrated, a shadow loomed on the horizon. For in the depths of Nexus Station, a hooded figure smiled, and a bone-chilling laugh echoed through the darkened corridors. The puppet master had been watching, and the true game was about to begin. The unraveling web. Flush with victory from the gauntlet, Jace and Zara found themselves the talk of Nexus Station. Their unprecedented alliance and unconventional tactics had earned them both admirers and enemies in equal measure. But even as they basked in their triumph, an unsettling discovery came to light. Amara, in the course of analyzing the station's data flows, stumbled upon a hidden network of communications, a web of shadow and intrigue that seemed to pervade every level of the game. "Chase, you need to see this." Her voice was tight with tension as she called up the holographic display. "There's another player in this game, someone we hadn't accounted for, and they've been pulling strings from the beginning." Jace studied the web of connections, his brow furrowed. The puppet masters. As if summoned by their name, a message flickered onto the screen. "Well done, Zephyrs. You've come further than most. But how much do you truly understand? The game has layers, and you've only scratched the surface." Jace's eyes narrowed. "Who are you? What do you want?" The response was cryptic, mocking. "We are the architects of this grand design, and what we want is to see who is truly worthy to shape the future of this galaxy. The quantum device is the key, but the lock it fits is far more complex than you can imagine." With that, the message blinked out, leaving them in stunned silence. Zora was the first to speak. "We need to get to the bottom of this. If there are hidden forces manipulating events, we can't trust anyone." Jace nodded grimly. "Agreed. It's time we did some manipulation of our own." They set to work, tracing the threads of the web, piecing together a picture of a vast conspiracy that stretched back decades, if not centuries. The puppet masters, it seemed, had been guiding the course of galactic events, steering conflicts and alliances, all leading up to this moment. But even as they dug deeper, they found themselves under attack. The Zarnians, the Ak-Kiri, even factions they had never heard of, all seemed to be converging on them, determined to stop their investigation. In a desperate bid for answers, they staged a daring data heist, infiltrating the heavily guarded archives of the Galactic Council itself. What they found there shook them to their core. The quantum device was more than a tool. It was a key to a weapon of unimaginable power, a relic from an ancient war that had nearly torn the galaxy apart, and the puppet masters sought to control it. But even as they grappled with this revelation, they were betrayed. One of their own, lured by promises of power, had sold them out. In a fierce battle, they found themselves outmatched and outgunned. Jace, in a moment of desperate inspiration, made a fateful decision. He surrendered the data they had stolen, allowing himself to be captured, buying time for the others to escape. As he was dragged away, he locked eyes with Zara. In that moment, a wealth of understanding passed between them. This was not the end, but a new beginning. The fight would continue, in the shadows and in the light. The puppet masters had overplayed their hand, revealing themselves in their eagerness to reclaim the stolen data. Now, the Zephyrs knew the true shape of the game, and they would not rest until they had unraveled the web and exposed the architects of this grand conspiracy. But first, they had to rescue their captain, and that would require a plan as audacious and daring as anything they had attempted before. The stakes had never been higher, but the Zephyrs had never been ones to shy away from a challenge. They would play this game to the end and damn the consequences. In the shadows of Nexus Station, a hooded figure watched and smiled a cold, calculating smile. The pieces were in motion. The endgame was approaching, and soon, very soon, the true power in the galaxy would be revealed. The final gambit. In a secret base hidden deep within the asteroid fields of the Kuiper Belt, the Zephyrs gathered to plan their most audacious heist yet. the rescue of their captain, and the unmasking of the puppet masters. Zara took point, her tactical brilliance now honed by the fires of betrayal and desperation. We need to assume that the puppet masters are expecting us. They'll have Jace under heavy guard, and they'll be waiting for us to make a move. Rook cracked his knuckles, a feral grin spreading across his face. Then we give them what they want. We hit them head-on, loud and proud. While they're focused on us, a stealth team sneaks in and extracts Jace. Amara shook her head. No, that's what they'll expect. We need to be smarter. She brought up a holographic display of the quantum device. We need to force their hand, make them bring the device out into the open. Realization dawned on Zara's face. A feint. We make them think we're after the device, get them to move it. Then we strike when they're most vulnerable. The plan took shape, a complex web of misdirection and calculated risks. They would leak false information, stage diversions, draw the puppet master's attention away from their true goal. The first stage was a series of daring raids on key puppet master installations, each one a show of force designed to provoke a response. The Zephyrs struck hard and fast, leaving chaos in their wake. As predicted, the puppet masters reacted, tightening security around their most valuable asset, the quantum device. They moved it to a fortified research station orbiting a black hole, confident in their defenses. But this was exactly what the Zephyrs had been waiting for. As the puppet masters' forces converged on the research station, the Zephyrs made their move. A small team, led by Zara and Amara, infiltrated the station, using stolen access codes and hacked security protocols to slip past the defenses. Meanwhile, Rock led a diversionary assault on the station's outer defenses, drawing fire and attention away from the infiltration team. It was a fierce battle, the Zephyr's ships dancing through a hail of weapons fire, always staying just one step ahead of destruction. Inside the station, Zara and her team raced against time. They fought their way to the detention level, where they found Jace, bruised but unbowed. "About time you showed up," he grinned. But even as they made their escape, alarms began to blare. The puppet masters had discovered the deception, and they were not about to let their prize slip away so easily. In the chaos of the battle, the quantum device was damaged, its containment fields failing. The station began to tear itself apart, the immense gravitational forces of the black hole pulling at its structure. Jace made a fateful decision. We can't let the device fall into their hands. We have to destroy it. It was a bitter pill to swallow. The device represented power beyond imagining, the key to shaping the future of the galaxy. But in the wrong hands, it could spell disaster. They rigged the device to overload, setting in motion a chain reaction that would scatter its components across the event horizon of the black hole, lost forever to the infinite depths of gravity. As they raced to escape the collapsing station, the puppet masters made one final desperate play. A fleet of ships, hidden until now, emerged from the shadows, weapons blazing. It was a battle unlike any the Zephyrs had ever faced. They were outnumbered, outgunned, and rapidly running out of options. But they were not alone. Across the comms came a familiar voice. "Umbra, need a hand, Zephyrs." In a dazzling display of skill and daring, Umbra's ship wove through the battle, drawing fire, creating openings for the Zephyrs to exploit. Together, they carved a path through the enemy fleet, a shining beacon of defiance against the darkness. And then, with a final brilliant flash, the research station collapsed into the black hole, taking the quantum device with it. The puppet master's grand plan, decades in the making, was undone in a single cataclysmic moment. In the aftermath, as the Zephyrs licked their wounds and repaired their ships, Jace sought out Umbra. "Why did you help us?" The mysterious figure shrugged. "Let's just say I have my own reasons for wanting to see the puppet masters brought down. And you Zephyrs, you're the most interesting thing to happen to this galaxy in a long, long time." With that, Umbra was gone, vanishing into the shadows as suddenly as he had appeared. The Zephyrs had won the day, but the cost had been high. They had lost friends, made powerful enemies, and come within a hair's breadth of oblivion. But they had also discovered the truth, exposed the hidden machinations that had guided the course of galactic events for centuries. And in doing so, they had changed the game forever. As they set course for new horizons, new adventures, Jace couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. The Zephyrs had started as outcasts, misfits, a ragtag band of dreamers and troublemakers. But now they were something more. They were the wild card that had upset the galactic order, the unpredictable element in a universe that had grown too comfortable with its own corrupt status quo. And whatever challenges lay ahead, whatever dangers and wonders awaited them, they would face them together. As Zephyrs, as family. The journey was far from over. But one thing was certain, the galaxy would never be the same again. A new dawn. In the wake of the Puppet Master's defeat, a strange calm settled over the galaxy. The great powers, so long accustomed to the shadowy machinations that had guided their every move, found themselves adrift, uncertain of their place in this new order. For the Zephyrs, it was a time of reflection and renewal. They had achieved the impossible, not through force of arms or technological might, but through wit, guile, and sheer audacity. They had proven that even the lowliest of outcasts could shape the course of galactic events. But their victory was not without its shadows. Jace, in particular, found himself haunted by the choices he had made, the sacrifices that had been required. In the quiet moments between missions, he could often be found staring out into the void, lost in thought. It was Zara who pulled him back from the brink. "You did what you had to do," she told him, her hand resting gently on his shoulder. "We all did. And because of that, the galaxy has a chance to be something better than it was before." Slowly, tentatively, the great powers began to reach out to one another, to forge new alliances and partnerships. The Terrans and the Zalnians, once bitter rivals, found common ground in their shared experience of the Puppet Master's betrayal. The Akhiri, humbled by their defeat, began to seek ways to atone for their past misdeeds. And at the center of it all were the Zephyrs, the unlikely architects of this new galactic order. They were sought out as mediators, as problem solvers, as the ones who could think outside the box and find solutions where others saw only dead ends. But even as they worked to build a better future, they never forgot the lessons of the past. They knew that the shadows were never far away, that there would always be those who sought to manipulate and control from behind the scenes. And so they remained vigilant, always watching, always ready to step in when the need arose. They became the galaxy's troubleshooters, the ones who could be counted on to do what needed to be done, no matter the cost. Years turned into decades, and decades into centuries. The Zephyrs became the stuff of legend, the heroes of 1,000 tales told across 1,000,000 worlds. And always at their heart was the story of the quantum quandary, the great game that had changed everything. But even legends must someday come to an end, and so it was that, on a quiet little world on the edge of the galaxy, the last of the Zephyrs finally hung up their blasters and settled into a well-earned retirement. Jace, old now, his hair grey and his face lined with the wisdom of a life well lived, sat beneath a tree, surrounded by his children and grandchildren. And as the sun set over the horizon, he began to tell a story. "Once upon a time," he said, "in a galaxy not so different from our own, there was a ragtag crew of misfits who dared to dream of a better tomorrow." And as the story unfolded, as the old tales were retold and the old songs were sung, a sense of wonder settled over the gathering. For this was the true magic of the Zephyrs, the secret that had carried them through all the trials and tribulations of their extraordinary lives. It was not their ships or their weapons that had made them great, but their spirit, their refusal to accept the world as it was, their determination to make it something better. And as the night wore on and the stars wheeled overhead, that spirit passed from one generation to the next, a torch handed down through the ages, a promise that the dream that had begun so long ago would never die. For the Zephyrs had not just changed the galaxy, they had changed the very nature of what it meant to be alive, to be sentient, to be a part of something greater than oneself. And though empires might rise and fall, Though wars might come and go, that legacy would endure, a shining beacon of hope in a universe that had once known only darkness. The quantum quandary was over, but the adventure was just beginning. And somewhere out there, in the vast expanse of the cosmos, a new generation of dreamers looked up at the stars and saw not just points of light, but possibilities, endless and infinite and waiting to be explored. The future was theirs, and it was bright.